What's going on, people? The Matador here. A big fight announced today for all boxing fans, Australian boxing fans in particular. Tszyu versus Joey Spencer going down in April, the 6th of April, I believe. And, it's going to be a crack of a fight. What more can I say? Tszyu coming off 2 straight losses. He's dubbed this as redemption. And, I heard George Rose say that, this is a tough fight and he didn't want this for Tim, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, what's Tim going to do? He's fought 2 world champions in his last 2 fights. He can't go back to fighting, at Blacktown RSL. He's got to maintain that level. But, if he wants to step down a little bit, don't step down too far. So if he wants to fight at world championship level, he's got to, at least be fighting guys, close to the top 10. So, it is what it is. I believe they've, picked a little bit of an easier fight for Tim. Joey's got shorter reach than Tim, less fights than Tim. He's also suffered a loss, a brutal knockout loss. Well, it wasn't a brutal knockout loss, but he did get dropped in the first round, and he was pretty much battered throughout the fight. So it was TKO. The trainer stepped on the apron and signaled to the referee that they wanted to stop the fight. So, nonetheless, it was a tough loss for Joey Spencer to take against Ramos. So, both boys have tasted defeat. But, Tim has obviously fought the higher caliber opposition compared to Joey. So, I believe, Tim can win this fight. He's obviously got the background to do it. I spoke to former professional Australian boxer Brett Smith, former Australian champion Brett Smith, a few days ago, and he said that he's seen Tim spar recently, and Tim is looking in great shape, great spirits. So if that's anything to go by, the old Tim might be back. He needs to definitely steer clear of Buckram. The champion that he lost to recently. Don't go anywhere near him. That'd be my advice for Tim, and I'm sure plenty of people around Tim are advising him the same. But there are other world champions in that division that Tim can fight against. Virgil Ortiz looking very sharp. He just won. Virgil Ortiz fought on the Bivol undercard past Sunday, and he looked great. There's a few options for Tszyu when it comes to getting back to that world level. But first, he's obviously got to beat what's in front of him, and that's Joey Spencer. I've watched a few Joey Spencer highlights. I mean, obviously the kid can fight, but he's up against Tszyu. This is not going to be an easy test. Tszyu's coming back to try and prove himself, and I think Joey Spencer's a willing fighter. He wants to do well. He wants to feed his family. He wants to succeed. But we're yet to see if he can mix it with the big guns. Obviously, I already mentioned he lost to Ramos, and it was interesting that I seen someone in the comments say that Ramos's gloves looked significantly bigger than Joey Spencer's. I'm not sure if they're hinting that Ramos may have had illegal plasters in his gloves, but whatever the case was, Ramos come out victorious. And as I said, Joey Spencer does have a loss on his record coming up against Tszyu, the redemption fight. So it is what it is. I feel like they've picked a little bit of an easier fight in Joey Spencer compared to what Tszyu has been up against in the last 2 fights. But, I feel like Tszyu will have the class to beat Joey Spencer, possibly on points. If he is coming out to send a message, he'll need to get a stoppage. But, I'm interested to see if there are any after effects from the Buckram loss. We've seen Tszyu, touch the top of his head, check his scar where the stitches would have been. So I'm not sure if that's any PTSD from the Fondora fight. But, we're yet to see if Tim is going to have any effects hanging over from the Buckram fight. I think it's notable to mention that his father lost to Vince Phillips, midway through his career and came back bigger, better than ever. After that loss to Vince Phillips, Tszyu was more focused, more successful, beating guys like Zab Judah in 2 rounds, Sean Bay Mitchell, regained the titles and become undisputed. So, we're all looking for Tim to do the same. As an Australian boxing fan, you got to love Tim. Well, most people do because he's, he's not really cocky and that sort of thing. He tends to just, get in there and get the job done like his dad does. He carries the Tszyu name with pride and does it proud. So, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm tipping Tim to bounce back and to bounce back in good fashion. A comfortable decision over Joey Spencer will, give him a lot of confidence and, put him on the right track for bigger and better things in 2025. It was a horrendous last year for Tim. 2 losses. And the Buckram loss was, very devastating. It is what it is. He was beaten by a better guy on that day. I don't want to say exposed because Tim, does have good skills, but the game plan wasn't there on that particular day. I've spoke to people after the fight, and I know Tim said before the fight that he thought that he was, going to walk through him and he felt invincible and that sort of thing. But, I don't know if his head was there after the first knockdown, but he didn't really adjust. He didn't really have a plan B. He just kept rushing forward and kept getting clocked. So, it's going to be a tough loss to come back from. Credit to Tim for, getting back on the horse and, wanting to get back in there. Like, obviously, there's big money on the line and that sort of thing too. So it's a big motivator, but I'm sure he cares about legacy just as much as the money. And, we're going to see if Tim Tszyu can bounce back. So that's my prediction is that, Tim will edge out the decision. As I said, if he is coming to make a statement, obviously he's going to try and go for the stoppage. But we've seen how, that worked against him against Buckram when he was pushing for the knockout and, it led to tragedy. So, I'll continue to do a bit more research on Joey Spencer close to the fight. I know he's got 19 wins, 11 KOs and 1 loss. He was stopped in that loss. As I said, his trainer threw in the towel. But, good kid. Comes to fight, very tough against Ramos. He took a lot of punches, a lot of punishment, and still kept coming. So, very willing fighter. I will say that. And young, hungry, determined, but I'm not sure if that'll be enough to beat Tim Tszyu. If it is, if he's able to, upset Tim Tszyu, now's the time to do it because, everyone knows Tim's at his lowest right now, even though, he's trying to jump back on the horse. He's at his most vulnerable right now after 2 losses and a big loss to Buckram last year. If there's ever a time to jump on Tim Tszyu and, put some pressure on him, it's right now. So all the best to both fighters. As an Australian, I would like to see Tim Tszyu win, but as a boxing fan, may the best man win. I want to see entertainment. We all want to see a great fight, and all the best to Joey Spencer. That's another thing I want to mention. Tim fighting back in Australia, in Newcastle, where he's been successful many times before. I think that's a great choice for the fight to be held in Newcastle for Tim's case, for Tim's sake. Not traveling to a foreign land like America and that sort of thing. I think it's much safer for Tim to be in his own backyard. And obviously, Joey Spencer's coming out here. He's not coming out here for a holiday, but he is coming to collect a payday as well. So I'm excited for this fight. There may be more updates on leading up to the fight. So stay tuned for that. It's the Matador here, and I'm signing out. Peace.